Ladies and gentlemen, please be standing for the Pakistan national anthem. Assalamualaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we? Baba Shukr Janabi Mala. How are we? We're well? We must say thanks to the wall and this beautiful backdrop this evening. Lahore diyan galiyan wallo, Lahore diyan sadਕਾਂ wallo, Lahore diyan imarਤਾਂ wallo, Lahore diyan parindiਆਂ wallo, Lahore diyan ਹਵਾਵਾਂ wallo, Lahore diyan khushbuਆਂ wallo, ji aaya nu. Lahore bids you all a welcome, and she sends her love to each and every one of you. You can't help but get pulled in by this atmosphere. Before we proceed to tonight's official distribution ceremony, I'd like to invite my co-host on stage. She is a leader in the field of arts and entertainment. She is a renowned actress and has been acting since 2005. Her latest film, Joyland, has been shortlisted for the 95th Academy Awards. She is the founder of Art House, a learning space driven by art, and she's also an ambassador of the Special Olympics Pakistan. She is a graduate of communication design from Indus Valley School of Arts and Architecture. Please put your hands together for Sarvat Gilani.
आदाब
आदाब जी, क्या हाल है आपके?
बिल्कुल ठीक, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह.
Welcome.
Thank you. What a wonderful evening.
It is, isn't it? अब मैं ये जो किला है और ये जो माहौल है, there's something magical about this. इसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए कोई एक कैफियत तारीफ होती है, कोई ऐसी बात, कोई ऐसी याद आपकी जो लाहौर से जुड़ी हुई हो.
लाहौर एक्चुअली कराची से आने वालों के लिए तो जख्मों पे नमक छिड़कने वाली बात है. यहाँ की सड़कें, यहाँ का बहार, यहाँ की खुशबू मट्टी की जब बारिश आने वाली होती है, यहाँ की रेड ब्रिक्स, एक्चुअली द वाइट ब्रिक्स, दे आर ऑल सो अमेजिंग. और it always brings back amazing memories, and it helps us realize that culture जो है वो कुछ शहरों से बहुत अच्छे से वाबस्तगी लाता है. And Lahore is one of those cities from Pakistan.
We're here tonight to celebrate. Sarvat, why are we here tonight? What are we celebrating?
Khalid, the ADA has worked tirelessly to promote both established stalwarts, aspiring and contemporary talented individuals in all these three disciplines, namely architecture, design, and art here in Pakistan. The ADA magazine, through these awards, recognizes these individuals and their teams. And here we are today to honor and recognize those names for the second and third cycle.
And with that, I'd like to invite technically our actual host for the evening. Would love you to give her a warm welcome. She is the founder and chief editor of ADA magazine, completely passionate about Pakistan. Please put your hands together for Maria Aslam. Very good.
Assalamu alaikum. I am completely overwhelmed. I mean, to be standing here in front of you after after a hiatus of 3 years, and be here tonight with all of you coming from Islamabad, Karachi, and Lahore, who has been so generous, who has been so kind to us and has opened doors wherever we have not. So, a huge applause to all of you tonight before I move ahead. This is the third iteration of the ADA Awards, wherein we will be recognizing the second and the third cycle winners and honorable mentions. And it has been a journey. ADA has invented and reinvented itself, over this time. And of course, the pandemic has taught us so many norms and no norms. So here we are looking at the arts fraternity, the creative fraternity, as to what is it, what doors do we open in the future ahead of us. The jury was extensive, impressive, critical, and a learning in itself. I have some of my jurors with me here tonight who are my celebrities actually, and I would really like you to give them a big applaud because they come from different parts of the world and they give a lot of time to this initiative. If I may mention some of them, Simone Cifrizzo is from Italy. He's somewhere here. Can you please raise your hand? Can I see where you are?
Hey.
Hey! Ijaz Ahad is somewhere in front. I just saw him. And of course, Nazir Shataullah, she's not here. She was taken sick in the morning. So is Salima Hashmi. Madam Salima Hashmi has not joined us. And I have Tanveer Hassan from UK. I mean, it has been amazing knowing you, Tanveer. She's a Lahoreite, so come on, Lahore, you can be generous to her. Imran Qureshi, he was a splendid juror, and he was in the architecture, and he was spot on. I mean, awesome. And of course, my jury from the art, they are not here with us. As you may understand, Shireen Gandhi, Iftikhar is traveling, Al-Noor Mitha is with us. And we have really tired him, but he's right here. Al-Noor? Okay, well, you're way too back. The design was a challenge, and you would get to realize that as the evening unfolds, so I will not mention much on that. But apart from the awards, this is the 15th year of ADA. And it has been a transformation and a learning, and I think ADA has evolved into itself. And if I can show some glimpses of what we have transformed into from just being ADA. That is the new ADA, designed by no other than Faraz Hamidi. It is ADA Iconica, and it blurs the boundaries completely between the creative industry, as was rightly said by Rashid Rana today, that interdisciplinarity is the buzzword for the next generation. We wouldn't know where to blur the lines. We wouldn't know where one discipline ends and the other starts, where the other begins, where you form the boundaries. And I think that is a great initiative, that is a great learning that we all will take tonight from that. And of course, from that cue, the shield has been designed by Abdul Jabbar, and he's right here. Jabbar? We have our discussions and we have our learnings, and I think that is brilliant to have this kind of conversation. And the conversation that we had in the morning, spectacular, incisive, a different perspective, opening up the creative industry to wider horizons, embracing, immersive, and I wish that you could have joined us, but if you haven't, then it is still there on our digital platforms, so do have a look at that. I do need to thank a lot of people here. More so, the reason why we are here in this spectacular environment is only because of Kamran Lashari Sahab. If he would not have opened the doors for this particular cycle, for this awards, it wouldn't have been possible. And it was a dream. I had seen this dream that I will be holding it, and I pursued it. And they have been very, very generous. Aisha has been very kind in this, and my sponsors, my partners, I always call them partners because without them I could not have taken a step forward. Packages, Berger, they are our lead partners and they have been openly generous in these challenging times when, believe you me, if I may say, I heard many no's than yeses in my life. But that's okay. We are here today with all of you, with all the partners, and with all the winners who made it possible. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much.
You see, I told you you're completely passionate about Pakistan. Thank you so much, Maria, for joining us on stage.
Now, our guest of honor, what a pleasure to be calling on stage Mr. Kamran Lashari, Director General Wall City of Lahore, who is working tirelessly with initiatives like Wake Androon Lahore to promote the walled city and its delights. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kamran Lashari.
Thank you very much. This is, of course, a very special evening and a very special set of people. I'm very fortunate, feel very honored to talk to all of you. We have, of course, opened the best of our space to the best of the people and on complimentary basis. There's a small token of recognition of your great services to this country. So I sincerely and truly believe that the architects, the artisans, the designers have a kind of a godly trait because you are the people who create. You give form and shape to objects and places and spaces. So whatever we see around ourselves, it is through your magical hands and beautiful mind that Pakistan is what it is. And it has the possibilities which one should say incomparable. You see, we all know that this country is one of the oldest civilizations. Mohenjo-daro and Gandhara and so on and so forth. But apart from that, when I look at these old mahallas, streets and gali kuchas, I just wonder and get struck with the architectural frame and beauty of those places. I'm not talking about the big havelis. आप इधर चले जाइए गवाल मंडी के घर देख ले जब कभी वहाँ पर फूड स्ट्रीट का एक तो the houses इधर हमारे दिल्ली दरवाजे में चले जाइए कहीं भी आम से मोहल्ले हैं लेकिन उनकी शक्ल शुभात उनका जो आपको लज्जत मिलती है देखने से वो आम नहीं है. There's one symmetry, there's one harmony, there's one language. And who designed it, I don't know. आप ब्रांडर्स रोड भी चले जाएं. There's a kind of a theme, there's a connectivity. आज हम जहाँ रहते हैं, for instance, I've shifted from my old mohalla, that was Muzang, to now Defense, living there for the last 15 years. Yes, it's a posh place, it's got big bungalows, but I seem to have lost something. Believe me, my soul is left back in Muzang. And I keep questioning myself, what have I gained and what have I lost? I have lost the sense of neighborhood. For 15 years, I do not know who lives on the left or the right. On the right, I know there's a smart-looking lady who lives there. That's all I know. But I tell you, we do not know the names of each other. We never meet. We never greet. And in the mohallas like Muzang, one would go up to that, chalk, and there were 20 people saying "Assalamu alaikum, ji theek ho paji wallo." And so the other is the joy of walking. You can't walk in places like कहने को कोठी बंगले बड़ी जगह Y block fence. You can't simply walk. So And then, what do we make our houses so expensive and beautiful, and then cover it and guard it with big walls? Do we find any wall in Gali Sujan Singh or in our old mohallas? और वहाँ चोरी चकारी भी नहीं होती, छेड़खानी भी नहीं होती. It's a neighborhood watch. Everybody is like a family. इधर गार्ड्स भी रखे हुए हैं, फायर भी की हुई है, लगाए हुए हैं इलेक्ट्रॉनिक भी, डर खौफ में, और पहले बनाते हैं इतना बड़ा, सजाते हैं और फिर उसको कवर कर देते हैं. तो ये दीवारें जो हमने अपने इर्द गिर्द बना ली हैं, हाई कोर्ट ने वो ऊंची कर दी हैं, और दीवारें पहले काफी, गवर्नर हाउस, एचएसएन, दिस, और दीवार भी काफी नहीं है. तार और खार जो है, ये बयान तो शायद बैठी हुई है माहिर उर्दू हमारे सामने, मैं क्या बात करूं, लेकिन वो इट्स अ बैरिकेडेड country in many ways. That's where we have, come to. So I appeal to you all. My purpose is, can we break these walls? Can we at least lower them, dilute them, cover them, soften them, and open up the beauty that we have shut away by spending so much, so that Pakistan look open from here first, and then, because it reflects what is here, what you bring down there. Today you go to any road, you come to this park, you have gone through many hurdles, and which at the entrance, it's like entering a GHQ, you're going into a park. But I don't want to dwell too much on this. All I want to say is, it's such a labor of joy, labor of love to work for creating beauty around yourselves. And this can happen only with talent like you. कामिल साहब बैठे हैं, नैयर भी ज़्यादा शायद नहीं आए हुए, लेकिन these are people में लाहौर से चूँकि ज़्यादा ताल्लुक है, कराची के भी, the gems are sitting here, मगर they have given shape and character and carried on the great tradition and culture, staying within that. Look at Wala Hamra could make an impact. So if we can stay rooted in our own culture, and yes, we have to transition, we have to move on, but if Gali Surjan Singh and Gwal Mandi can be our, let's say, the objects to follow, maybe we'll learn more. Thank you very much for inviting me, for having me over. And I also want to say, please connect with people like us, the Wall Street Lahore. I always seek talent, art. My entire life has been working with art students and School of Art like Canal Mela, Food Street, Gwal Mandi, or whatever we have been doing. So even now, it's the Afghan Trust for Culture we are partnered with, and I must give them a huge compliment for bringing so much of excellence. This place, you see, about 40-50% of the money is by the Norwegians. Somewhere, some other country like German, but Alhamdulillah, nobody from our own country. And but I look toward you all that you can chip in many ways, and that is through your skill and your talent, and that will be a huge compliment to the walled city and to this country. Bahut shukriya. We keep, I must mention, Kamil Sahab or inki tarah, Mrs. Vandal and many others keep seeking their advice, their guidance, and they come without any fee or let way and do that. So I'm very grateful to that, but many more need to step in. Bahut shukriya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shahid Saab ke liye bharpoor taaliyan Khawateen o Hazrat. We have received all that you've said to us this evening. Our first performance for tonight. Can't wait to introduce our first act for this evening. It is a collaboration between one of Pakistan's most legendary music producers, Nizar Lalani Saab, and Lahore's multifaceted dance maestro, Anand Jahangir. Lalani Saab has composed an experimental piece that weaves actual voices and voice samples from Jinnah, Noor Jahan, and Mehdi Hassan, with selected songs that represent the changing sonic atmosphere of Pakistan's rich musical journey. The bridges are composed in Nazar Saab's signature style. Adnan's team will now interpret this concept through their integrally choreographed dance. Please put your hands together for Adnan Jahangir and his team.
मंदिरों में जाने के लिए आप सब आजाद हैं, अपनी मस्जिदों में जाने के लिए और किसी भी और इबादत गाह में जाने के लिए इस ममलिकत पाकिस्तान में। आपका ताल्लुक किसी भी मजहब, जात या अकीदे से हो, ममलिकत का इससे कोई सरोकार नहीं।
Bade Ghulam Ali has been a key figure in the revival of popular interest in classical music. He has a golden voice, a complete mastery of Tan, and the rare artistry.
ये दुख सान जाए याद पिया की आए याद पिया की जाएगा याद पिया की आए ये दुख सान जाए याद याद आए।
मेरी उस वक्त उम्र 10 साल की थी। पहली दफा मुझे जिसको पेड़ मैदान कहा जाता है उसने मुझे छोड़ दिया गया, बेटी गाओ आज तुमने एमन गाना है, उसके बाद माल कौन जानी। तो मुझे क्या परवाह थी, मैं तो ऐसी उम्र में थी कि जहाँ ऐसा रियाज कराया गया हो कि भाई 18-18 घंटे रियाज है, तो मैं तो बल्कि कहती थी अल्लाह मुझे छोड़ो, कोई कहे मुझे कि मैं गाऊं। उस वक्त मुझे ये आवाज मेरे कान में जब पड़ी कि भाई ये तो बच्ची लगता है जिस दिन पैदा हुई है उस दिन अल्लाह पाक ने किसी और आर्टिस्ट को जन्म नहीं दिया।
जिस दिन से पिया दिल ले गए दुख ले गए उस दिन से घड़ी बल है चैन नहीं आए। घटती नहीं दिल की दूरियां मजबूरियां, मेरा तुम बिन जी घबराए चैन नहीं आए।
सुर की ताकत बहुत है। सुरेश्वर, हिंदू लोग कहते हैं सुरेश्वर, बात ठीक है। वैसे वो इसलिए कहते हैं कि सुर, अब ये तबला है, तबले को आप पूरे जितने घर है उसकी एक जान कर दे, सुर में मिला दे और थोड़ा सा धमाका कर दे, उसके पास वो फट जाता है। उसको बेसुरा कर दे हथौड़ी से और फिर तोपे चलाइए, उसके पास वो नहीं फटेगा। तो क्यों फटा? कि सुर में ताकत इतनी है।
जाए ರಂಗ ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಸ್ತನ ಬದ್ಲಮ ವಾದೆ ಬಾಯದೆ ಮನು ತನ ಗೆಲ ತುಷಿ ರೋಚ ಬಾಯದೆ ನಿವಾಯದ ನೀರೆ ಬತ್ತಿ ರೋಕ ಶಮು ಶಮಲೆಕ್ಕೆ ತಗ್ಗೆ ಕಪನ ಬಟ್ಟಿ ನಿವ ಅಂಚೆ ಮಡು ಮೇಸ್ತಿಕ್ ಕಾಸಿದೆ ಬರೋಕ
मजबूरी लू आड़ जाड़ की पसूरी लू जहर बड़े हाँ तेरी पी जावा मैं पूरी लू आड़ा सीओ नहीं आया दिल बाग बाग मेरा टकराया कागा बोल के दस जाए पावा क्यों दी चूरी लू रवाज बावाज ओनू लुका कोई मैनू ना रोके मेरे डोल
यूं ही गाता रहूं तेरी खातिर गीत बनता रहूं बैठा रहूं तेरी खातिर पर मेरे गीत तेरे दुख का मदावा ही नहीं मेरे गीत तेरे दुख का मदावा ही नहीं नगमा जर्रा नहीं मुन सो गम हार सही गीत निस्तर तो नहीं मरहम आजार सही तेरे आजार का चारा नहीं निस्तर के सिवा और ये सफ़ाक मसीहा मेरे कब्जे में नहीं इस जहां के किसी सीरू के कब्जे में नहीं हम मगर तेरे सिवा तेरे सिवा तेरे सिवा
What a lovely, lovely performance, Sarvat.
Absolutely
Wow.
mesmerizing. बहुत मेहनत लगती है और बहुत करेज होना चाहिए एक इंसान के अंदर बहुत सारे लोगों के सामने इतने अमेजिंग टैलेंट के सामने परफॉर्म करने के लिए और एक आर्टिस्ट के लिए appreciation means the world.
बहुत बड़ी बात है.
So now we move on to the formal distribution ceremony.
We are celebrating 3 disciplines: architecture, design, and art, hence ADA. Each discipline has numerous categories and will announce winners one by one. Each category will have a set of presenters. We'll have the presenters stand center stage and the winners come and receive their award. And as they do, we will see some of the work here on the screen. Are you ready? नहीं रेडी नहीं है मैं और आप बात कर लेते हैं कैसी आप
थोड़ी एनर्जी चाहिए होगी encouragement और थोड़ी आपकी तालियों से बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा थैंक यू
वो एक ग्रुप आता है सर वो कहते हैं वो गाड़ी में तय हो जाता है कि जो भी हमें ताली नहीं बजानी तो यहाँ पे भी कुछ ग्रुप्स आएगा ओके ready for our first category our first discipline ladies and gentlemen is architecture our first category civic building presenter please put your hands together once again our guest of honor जनाब कामरान लशारी साहब से गुजारिश है कि स्टेज पर आए और प्रेजेंटेशन दी आ जाए सर all right and announcing the winner for category civic building put your hands together please for RCOP Bamyan Hospital
hospital project in Bamyan, Afghanistan is reflective of the culture and the harsh climate and landscape around it. The concept of a compound with extremely thick inner core mud-filled high walls amply reflects the way of life, climate and security considerations that have been considered by the architect. This outer compound has provided all the elements for the functioning of a hospital and gels very well with its surrounding environment. The architects have very intelligently and cleverly used the north and south orientation in their design to cater to hot, dry summer season and ample light sun during the winters. There is a very impressive use of the local flora and fauna in the series of landscape gardens within the compound providing solace and much needed comfort for the patient. Also, the use of local craft motifs and pattern has contributed in providing a sense of familiar surroundings to the local people using the facility. Thus, it's a very creative and bold attempt in response to the location, function, and its surrounding environment.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. With this, we have an honorable mention, the Architects Studio, Tariq Hassan, for Children's Village, Khairpur.
Architects have often faced the perpetual question of how architecture can benefit a community. This project has successfully integrated the new architecture into the fabric of the existing village by inserting a configuration of small buildings that form a living community with an intimate scale. By orienting some of the buildings to capture the breeze, the exterior spaces became as important as the interior spaces. As a result of the building configuration, small courtyards were formed where the children could play outdoor in smaller groups. The project has not only responded to local climatic conditions by reviving traditional passive cooling and heating methods, but it has also succeeded in reducing the budget by using local materials and construction methods, thus empowering the rural community.
The next category is commercial building. I'd like to call Mr. Kaleem Siddiqui on stage to give the award.
Kaleem Siddiqui साहब के लिए बहुत सारी तालियां खाओ के साथ make his way to set the stage, please. Thank you. Honorable mention, Sarvat, who are we calling up?
Arshad Shahid Abdullah Sahab for Adamji Insurance Head Office.
This office building stands out unique due to its peculiar narrow width, standing tall among other buildings around it. Exploiting a piece of land to its full advantage is the most clever thing that the architect has achieved. The attractive structure in steel and RCC gives this building the airness and natural light where needed. The use of contemporary materials and their appropriate application is commendable. It has gained respectable position among the very few buildings of its class in one of the busiest commercial area of Lahore.
Alright, the category competition project. We've got Kaleem Siddiqui Saab joining us on stage. And the winner, Shahid Saeed Khan, the Sculptor's Domain.
The project successfully addresses and synthesizes several topics that are relevant to contemporary architectural discourse. First of all, construction systems are adopted that can be easily taught to the local community, thus empowering it. On the other hand, passive systems from climate control and water recycling are well integrated in the structure, participating in the definition of its architectural form. Also, the flexibility of use is allowed by the compound typology, expanding its life cycle. Finally, the choice of materials, colors, and patterns respect the local culture. Overall, the jury has appreciated the inspired way in which the project balances tradition and innovation.
The next category is Interior Project Conference. We would like to have Arfa Saida Zehra Sahiba. A big round of applause. Arfa ji, thank you so much for coming here and giving us this honor of having you amongst us. tonight. The winner is Studio Subtractive Upfield.
Mixing a workplace and a living room is basically a very easy job. It can happen by accident or by necessity, without any clever intervention. The same is in the opposite way. You can partly transform and dedicate your living place to your office. But it is not so easy when you have to respect the environment rules, constraints, ergonomics, lights, distances, comfort, privacy, and efficiency. What I found amazingly successful in this UF project is that living becomes so pleasant that calls you to work. Light and air are mostly present everywhere. Sportive activities, nature, plants, color, and furniture's variety. All of these carefully selected elements make you feel hungry, relaxed, and busy. Productivity and peace are joining each other.
Our next category is Housing Project. I'd like to invite on stage to present the award Ms. Noorjahan Bilkrami. So good to see you.
It's an absolute honor to have you here.
So this is the category Residence Project, and the winner, the Architects, Studio Tariq Hassan, House on a Plateau.
Building on a piece of land in an open countryside location, it is always a challenge not to impose on nature with a massive structure. By adhering to the essentials, the architect manages to create straightforward forms that celebrates the natural surroundings. The strategy to separate the house into several masses maintains the scale of the countryside homes in the area. At the same time, the masses break up the expansive site with several intimate gardens that also create a distance when future houses will be built on the sites. The use of local stone and wood reverberates with the countryside homes, while at the same time using simple modernist features to make it more contemporary.
As a reminder, this category is Housing Project, and we would like to call Arqam Al-Azhar Garden as a winner.
Great size and contained budget are usually the Achilles heel of housing development. Such is not the case of this project, where despite the constraints given by the site, which was long and narrow, and construction needs, especially the repetition of blocks, the architects have achieved an urban configuration capable of offering diversity within similar housing types, environmental quality by means of natural elements, identity thanks to the subtle use of vernacular language, character by means of the strategic positioning of special buildings, ventilation via the disposition of the building blocks, and a well-thought balance between private, semi-private, and public spaces.
Category Rework Project, Renovation, Adaptive Reuse. Please put your hands together for our presenter, Arif Changezi sir. All right, we have an honorable mention in this category. Please put your hands together for H3 Architects, Gilgit Medical Center.
Adaptive reuse of some of the original features unique to the vernacular tradition of building in Gilgit-Baltistan, such as the stepped wooden ceiling and the carved pillars of the original structure, suggests a sensitivity towards an awareness of local building techniques and the aesthetic popular in this high mountain region. Thought has gone into planning the compound around a courtyard, which provides a green open space for visitors, staff, and patience. Space behind the complex has been left open for future expansion. The location of the complex upon a plateau overlooking the Indus River was well suited for the establishment of a pumping station to address the water needs of the facility. Considering that the complex is intended to address health needs before a permanent facility is provided, the Gilgit Medical Center merits an honorable mention for its thoughtful and sensitive execution of an adaptive reuse project in a remote mountain region.
The next category is heritage, conservation, adaptation, and reuse. Honorable mention, Rais Fahim Associates, HSN College. A big round of applause for these winners.
HSN College has been listed as a special premises under the Punjab Special Premises Preservation Ordinance 1985. The project to conserve the old building has successfully addressed issues of structural stability and the deterioration or weathering of material, including water and termite damage. While major structural issues such as the floors and roofs have been addressed well, this appears to be a project which has gone beyond the remit of conservation. Iconic architectural features such as the central dome and the four turrets at the corners have been restored and conserved, including the decorative elements that have decayed or been entirely lost over time. This project merits an honorable mention and can be presented to conservators as an example of successful conservation and restoration with minimum intervention and maximum sensitivity to historical references and the values of heritage management.
On behalf of ADA, we'll make sure that he gets his award. Thank you very much. I'll take the award from you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
stay there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to our next discipline, which is design. Our category, identity design, and our presenter, Kamil Khan Mumtaz.
A big round of applause for Sir Kamil Khan Mumtaz.
All right. And our winner in the design discipline for this category, identity design, please put your hands together for Ali Rez. Stop Jahiz.
Jahiz Khori Band Karo is a project that approaches problem solving for social impact through communication design practice. The intention of the project is visible, an excellent multi-pronged approach to raise awareness against the debilitating and toxic practice of dowry in Pakistani society. The term Jahiz Khori is introduced as written as a Mehndi pattern. The project links Mehndi, henna, as a visual signification of celebration in Pakistan with the term Jahiz Khori through a visually beautiful Mehndi pattern, like a henna tattoo, to juxtapose dowry practices as being deliberating. The project links Mehndi, henna, as a visual signification of celebration in Pakistan with the term Jahiz Khori through a visually beautiful Mehndi pattern, like a henna tattoo, to juxtapose dowry practice as debilitating and callous. The presentation of this term through the medium of Mehndi, communicated through diverse hands as a communication channel, invites one to raise a voice against Jahiz Khori. It is a visual dialogue, a protest, an invitation, a call for a movement filled with cultural connotation, subtext, and influence. Additionally, the project as a whole is a clear representation of a contextual communications approach. What impresses me the most in this project is its simplicity and depth. A clear, concise message, coining a strong term, introducing a democratic process by invitation for the public to join in. The project communicates that it is not only about a visual aesthetic, it is a systemized strategy to prompt re-evaluation of normalizing dowry practice. This project reminds me of Paul Rand's quote, "Design is so simple, That's why it is so complicated. Unquote.
The next category is furniture light design. The winner is Arshad Shahid Abdullah for Mystery, which is spelled like my S tree, which is so interesting.
The Mystery of Mystery project is not only a play on words, it invites you freshly to see the mystery of trees. Trees are part of the most mysterious element of nature. They are the most visual representation of life, of color, of air and peace. Mystery Project creates mysteriously a new life to the materials such as scrap metal, boxes and things that provide four seasons color, shadow and presence, laying down on their mystery tree, looking at the sky through the turquoise, green and pomegranate red filter color will surely provide fruitful dreams. Mystery Project inspires us to keep thinking and finding more reasons for ourselves to exist. Its strength is also in being an evolutive tree.
Our category, fashion design, and the winner, Bushra Waqas Khan miniature dresses.
The fashion entry presents a well-crafted body of work exploring the possibility of application of a theme on various formal and informal ensembles. Thematically, it is not possible to predict whether this is purely designed to indulge the senses or are there serious problem-solving matters at hand. But apparently what we see is what we get, and what we get is a delightful exploration of a theme, a well-defined visual language and its application possibilities. The limits of the color palette are compensated by the expanded envisioning of the theme in multiple textures, draping and silhouettes. The surface design complements the silhouettes in a flattering manner that evokes an invitation for a second look. And it's only then that we appreciate the variety hidden under a minimal demeanor.
The next category is jewelry design. We would like to have Arshad Mahmood and Muhammad Umar on stage, please.
Arshad Mahmood and Muhammad Umar.
For jewelry design.
No? Hold on, it's
We would like to call the winner Sundar Stalpur for Door.
The entry titled Door is a thematically crafted ensemble that pushes the boundaries of traditional jewelry design. The claim that it encapsulates fragments of the historic richness of Pakistani textiles is evident in the vocabulary and the physicality of this collection. The picture captures the rich heritage of Pakistani.
Thank you for receiving on behalf of ATA. A big round of applause for Sundar, wherever she may be right now. Congratulations to her and her entire team.
And enhanced strength of the medium of gold. Through the medium of jewelry design, the designer has captured imagination and ideas into something tangible and visible. The visual language reflects the concept brilliantly. Delicate, ethereal textures, draping surfaces, and fluid spaces seduce the viewer through aesthetics and impresses of innovation. The socially responsive element of being inclusive to the Sindhi craftspeople allows another layer to the project. This project is a visual and tactile success as a complex realization of an outwardly simple yet inherently deep concept.
Jewelry design winner Sundar Stalpur. Next category is jewelry design. An honorable mention, Dua Fatima, the concealed, voicing tales of the acid-burnt women. Dua Fatima, ladies and gentlemen.
Voices endeavors to raise public awareness towards the social issue and plight of acid burn victims. The project represents the issue through a carefully planned body of work of jewelry pieces showing scarring, deformity of skin on precious metal pieces that could be worn on hands as bracelets, neck as chokers, and other ornamentation conventions. One could argue that jewelry's primary purpose is
Congratulations once again.
whereas these pieces derive their main inspiration from
You received the award on behalf of Ms. Claude Fatma. Make sure that you receive it.
hence approaching results in registering an apparent contradiction and the conundrum of sorts. It first of all grabs your attention and raises formal questions of design form and function and whether ethics should be a concern here. However, in the midst of all these questions, one also realizes where one might have seen such messages before and which mediums were traditionally used to deliver such messages. So herein lies the deal breaker, the sophistication of visual language and the use of jewelry as a carrier of an intense message. The body of work also does not assume that we have not heard or seen about acid burn and the designer has to teach us all from scratch. Contrary to that, the pieces speak in a multi-meaning mode, impressing upon the mind the fragility of the notions of conventional beauty, challenging our vanities and at the same time blurs the boundaries between sculpture and jewelry.
The next category is editorial type design. We would like to call Madam Ghazala Rahman to come on stage to give the shield to the winner. A big round of applause for Madam Ghazala Rahman. We would also like to call the honorable mention here is Zehra Nawab, Sita under the crescent moon. That's beautiful. Zehra Nawab, आप जिधर भी हैं, आपका Sita under the moon, crescent moon, is receiving an award. Please come on stage.
This book delves into the subject of healers, erratics, seekers and believers, believers in the power of Sufi saints, and of the Satya. This publication employs what can be assumed as data illustration devices.
The ADA will make sure that you receive her award. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Express the essence of the text. Outwardly, the publication design may appear traditional. However, an excellent melancholic narrative staging is accomplished through simple layouts and minimal illustrations. The cover design, the illustration style, layout design, negative space considerations, and general formatting generates an enigmatic mood. It's a visual journey that supplements the inscribed narrative. It sparks curiosity while evoking a sense of surreal mysticism. The use of muted earth tones, the softness of brush strokes, and surreal imagery generates a haunting feel. Professional finishing choreographs this publication rather than structure. It reflects well-designed content from the concept to expression, simple yet elegant, where less is more.
All right, our next category, editorial type design, an honorable mention, Minhaj Ahmed Rafi, a fashionable history.
Pakistani fashionable history draws the eyes and commands attention. An interesting interplay of text, image, and negative space lends this publication a playful nuance. The intention of communicating history of the young Pakistani audience is achieved with styling and employment of graphic elements such as color, text, and image collages. Pop art inspiration is clearly reflected through the interesting colorful collages. If one is pernickety, editorial finishing, disputes such as widows and orphans, curling issues within the text, choice of imagery for the collages, or negative space design that controls eye movement can be questioned. However, the sheer confidence to tackle a daring approach to editorial design needs commendation. The eclectic visual juxtaposition of design elements strewn across the pages makes one feel the frenetic energy the layout successfully generates. There is not a single dull moment as one travels from one page to the next. The editorial innovation can be defined in Richard Hamilton's words: it's a witty, sexy, gimmicky, and glamorous approach to editorial design.
The next category is sculpture art. We would like to have Mr. Ijaz Ahad and Dr. Nadra Khan on stage to give out the shield to the winners. Could we also have Dr. Nadra Khan, if she is here? She's not here. Okay. The winner is Alfan Bhagpati, Dulha series. This should be interesting.
The artist forages for metal objects in bazaars and antique shops with great purpose. These objects become his material as a sculptor. Traditionally, almost all the found objects were in daily domestic use, sometimes for adornment, for religious purposes, and more often for practical purposes. The objects are mostly cast in copper, brass, and sometimes in silver, but are also handmade by craftsmen. In present times, their traditional use being replaced by modern alternatives. The artist is inspired by the possibilities that unfold, and his creative interventions in this particular series, named Dulha of Bridegroom, with the head of a candor fused within selected objects, infuses these sculptures with a quirky undercurrent of humor at one level, but also with a scathing, satirical undercurrent that is a commentary on the social and political culture in our society.
Jalsa, please, just for a moment longer. Thank you very much. All right, with the Jalsa joining us, our category is video art. The winner, Amar Faiz, Body.
The jury agreed that Ahmed Faiz's single-channel video, Body, demonstrated video's potential to document, with its capacity to immerse the viewer's attention with such balanced prowess. The seemingly simple work deftly combined layers that interleave ideas of public space, ritual games, and surveillance in a manner that is both subtle yet amazingly compelling.
The next category is installation art. And the winner is Aisha Qureshi, Sky Frames.
The freshness of the work immediately draws attention to the myriad Karachi skyscape composed of huge steel structures that once housed huge billboards. The curious vista that has been created is a repercussion of the law banning billboards that sprint out from high-rise buildings in this megapolis. The void left in its wake of steel structures and tattered material draws attention to the elusive memory of what it was and now houses the birds and flying debris. The dexterity of the artist is revealed in how he or she experienced a phenomena that is embedded in our everyday experience, and how art amplifies the familiar, identifiable monstrosity as a provocative social connection by the artist is powerful in this work. The important issue of how one act reinvents another causality, resulting in environmental concern, is the narrative of the installation that questions the commercial agenda and its aftermath, both socially and aesthetically. The artist has observed the city's skyscape, and her aesthetic intervention is to transform their presence by bringing them into a gallery space, as a video and sound installation is illuminating and questing at the same time. The awareness-raising project is a formal exercise that encapsulates an immersive experience in this stimulating work.
All right, the next category is digital art. Our presenter, please put your hands together for Imran Qureshi.
A distinguished international artist and a source of pride for Pakistan, making a mark on the global platform. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
All right, again, digital art is the category, and the winner, Muhammad Atif Khan, Seven Skies.
work won the attention of the jury for the ways in which it employs the digital to recompose imagery. Carved from the familiar repertoire of truck art and miniature painting motifs around him, Khan's drawing, Seven Skies, seems to bring the never-ending implosion of visual noise to a standstill. With the infiltration of digital technology, especially during this pandemic, his work is a timely reminder of the precarious balance in which we all find ourselves.
The next category is fiber art, and the winner is Nisa Saeed Raja. 19-20.
Yes.
19-20, 2.
Buenos Bees captured the jury's attention for its humour and sheer simplicity of means. The artist's careful, almost casual arrangement of two very ordinary garments demonstrated an agility to work with abstract forms in tandem with conceptual ideas of indeterminacy implied by the title given to it by the artist.
All right. Our next category is fiber arts. Honorable mention Ruby Tishti, Sublime Architecture.
The jury conferred an honorary mention to Sublime Architecture in respect of Ruby Chisti's imaginative repurposing of found fabrics to think about subjects of home and belonging. The jury were very impressed by the unique technique and intricacy of the work, especially for the ways it challenged perceptions of what fiber art is and should be.
All right, moving on. Category Public Art. Our presenter, Janab Shahid Abdullah Saab, Guzarish hai. If you could join us on stage, please.
Shahid Saab, हमने आपको बहुत तंग किया हुआ है लगता है.
आइए सर.
And the winner of this category
is Numash Karachi Sheherzad.
The jury took the decision to award Sheherzad with the Public Art Award by virtue of the number of collaborators it involved. We believed the project extended notions of participation, agency and interaction beyond singular understandings of what the term public art has more commonly been associated with. So rather than recognise an individual, the jury felt the prize should be awarded to recognise each and everyone involved in Sheherzad's week-long programme.
Many congratulations, a big round of applause for this amazing team, guys. Numaish is one of the oldest places in Karachi. A big congratulations to the entire team for their efforts, for their hard work and all the time that they've spent in curating this amazing project. The next category is drawing. We would like to have Madam Farida Batul and Ali Raza Sahab to come on stage to give the award. Madam Farida Batul and Ali Raza Sahab. And the winner is Laila Rahman. Mehtab se mulaqatein.
Mehtab Se Mulaqatein is innovative in its format and well crafted. The pomegranate is an organic symbol of fertility and abundance, and the inventive use of different circles adds to the work's allure. The artist has connected drawing to symbols effectively with great visual appeal. The drawing is skillfully executed with good contrast of dense drawing and lighter open spaces and feels well resolved.
We move now to category drawing and the honorable mention, Farooq Adnan, Void Within.
In this drawing, the artist has used circular forms, creating a mesmerizing and engaging conceptual work. Finally executed, the circular motion of the process is actively visible, as if reflecting the growth of tree rings through time. The success of the piece is in the indirect and impressionistic approach to nature. The whole drawing is an abstract statement of being one with nature, perhaps, and is very deftly executed.
The next category is painting. We would like to have Madam Farida Batul and Ali
They're not
Raza.
here, right? They're not here. They're not here.
They're not here.
Who are we getting on stage?
We have him saved for the next category. We're not gonna use
So we're
runners
going
out so
to
much.
ADA to. Should we get
Honorable.
Does that come? Maria, Pajan.
So Maria. Maria.
Was you in for the next one?
Speaking, yes. And the honorable mention, the winner here is Javed Iqbal Mughal, Supremacy. A big round of applause for Mr. Javed Iqbal.
Supremacy won honorable mention for its skillful depiction of the subject matter, the expressions of the characters, and innovative use of paint and drawing. What seems like a simple naturalistic depiction is actually inventive with its infusion of tension, thoughtful structuring of characters, and creative use of light and colors. The painting was able to draw the viewers into the drama created on canvas.
Student Design Competition is our next category. The winner is Fiza Fatma, Anusha Irfan, Rida Fatma, Sahar Noor, and Yamna Asad
Origami.
for origami. That is a big group of some unbelievable women.
The jury saw merit in both these designs and was of the opinion that the origami design based on portability and the overall concept was a very practical one and could be used for many future award ceremonies and much commended. However, the details of the folds of the fabric, which is the main element visible to the audience, required further work. The paper lamp concept is very attractive, especially the graded lighting from bottom to top. The mass of the rostrum seemed bulky and difficult to handle and store. The cuts and folds, if not done with precision, would make the concept realization useless. Commenting on the merits of both, the jury felt that the two shortlisted contestants be given an opportunity to work together to create a piece which marries the concept of portability and the folds of the origami fabric and carries the essence of paper, thus being joined winners. In case of reluctance, the origami one is declared the winner and the paper lamp gets an honorable mention.
So this team is based in Karachi, could not make it tonight, and so the ADA will collect the award on their behalf and make sure that they get it.
A big round of applause for the entire team of these unbelievable artists. Thank you so much.
Now we're going to invite our next guest on stage. मैं अब कैसे दावत दूँ इनको? इनकी मेरी मुलाकात कुछ महीनों पहले हुई थी सरवत, और मैं यूँ समझने she was very kind, she is very loving, एजुकेशनिस्ट भी है, ह्यूमन राइट्स एक्टिविस्ट भी है, मैंने पहले भी कहा कुछ गुफ्तार भी हैं. Should we invite you on stage?
Yes, absolutely.
Put your hands together, please, for Dr. Arfa Sayyida Zehra. Aye, please. Once for food डालिए, खाने को ना.
तमाम मुअज़्ज़िज़ कमाल फन के फनकार हैं. ख़वातीन व हज़रात कहना कोई आम बात है. जाहिल इंसान की एक बड़ी खूबी होती है कि वो हर मौजू पे बात करने को तैयार होता है, और यहाँ तो ये कमाल है कि मुझे मौजू भी नहीं मालूम. तो मैं बहुत ममनून हूँ, खास तौर पर
That's one strong woman. You don't need to see.
खुद बालों का रंग देख के हौसले का अंदाजा लगाती है.
वाह, क्या बात की है.
मैं कहना ही चाहती थी, इस शहर का दिल बहुत बड़ा है और शहर वालों का शहर से ज्यादा. 76 बरस का हो रहा है ये शहर, मेरी उम्र के करीब आ पहुंचा. लेकिन एक लुत्फ की बात है कि जो यहाँ आता है वो जाता नहीं. उस शहर की बड़ी अच्छी रिवायतें थी. आटी दरवाजे में रहना इसलिए जरूरी है कि वो रक्स हो या शेर हो या मुसव्वरी हो या फिल्म हो या शायरी हो, वो जब तक हाटी दरवाजे से नहीं गुजरेगा वो फन की भट्टी से नहीं गुजरता था. पोंछी दरवाजा लोग अब भूल गए. पोंछी दरवाजे में तकरीर किए बगैर सियासतदान अपने बखिए उधड़वा सकता था, टांका नहीं लगा सकता. अब आज के सियासतदान पहले से मसलहतों के और साजबाज के टांके लगाने आते हैं, तो मोची दरवाजे में जलसे की जरूरत नहीं रही. लेकिन कमाल का शहर. और मैं कभी ये कहते नहीं शर्माई कि मेरी जिंदगी के 3 इश्क में से एक इश्क लाहौर है.
वाह.
और जो बाकी हैं वो भी किसी न किसी तरह लाहौर से वाबस्ता है. एक उर्दू, दूसरा पाकिस्तान. आप इन तीनों को मिला दें तो लाहौर बन जाता.
वाह.
मेरी आप लोगों को खुशामदीद इस शहर में. तो यहाँ आपकी बड़ी इस वक्त रस्मी गुफ्तगू हुई. अगर अब वाकई किसी सही दरवाजे में इस वक्त मौजूद होते, हाँ लोग पूछते थे और क्या हाल है. क्योंकि हम ये जो अब हमारे हाथों में एक जाने आलम का तोता आ गया है ना, मैंने सेल फोन का नाम यही रखा. उसमें 24 घंटों में से 23 घंटे हम यही पूछे हैं. अंग्रेजी में पूछें तो पूछते हैं व्हाट्सएप, पंजाबी में पूछें तो पूछते हैं और क्या है. लेकिन अफसोस ये है, इस शहर के मिजाज में 2 चीजें थी. आता भी शौक से है और हंसता बहुत ही शौक से. इससे मिजाज बहुत कमाल की. वो जो एक मुहावरा हमारे यहाँ है, जिन्हें लाहौर में देखिया वो जमे ही नहीं, तो आप में से बहुत से लोग आज ही पैदा हुए हैं क्योंकि हम कहते हैं कि जिसने लाहौर नहीं देखा वो पैदा नहीं हुआ। लेकिन एक शख्स वजीराबाद के स्टेशन पे पकड़ा गया कि बगैर टिकट के सफर कर रहा था और बहुत गरीब की जूताकारी हुई, मार खाई उसने। जब घर वापस पहुंचा तो लोगों ने उससे पूछा कि जम पे आए, पैदा हो गए तुम? कहने लगे जम ते पिया लाहौर च, और अकीका मेरा वजीराबाद। आप सबको लाहौर में खुशामदीद। बहुत ही खूबसूरत शाम है, एक अजीब रोशनी और अंधेरे का खेल जिंदगी की तरह, और मुझे जिंदगी अपने अंधेरों के लिए ज्यादा अच्छी लगती है कि उसमें रोशनी जलाने का इम्कान है। आप सबके यहाँ तशरीफ लाने का बेहद शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया, थैंक यू सो मच।
भरपूर तालियां प्लीज डॉक्टर अरफा सूरज शहर के। ये ताली की गूंज उस वक्त तक खत्म ना हो जब तक आप अपने निश्चित तक ना पहुंचे।
इतनी आसानी से आप खूबसूरत सी बातें करके चली गई हमारे नहीं। Thank you, Ji. The third cycle of awards 2022-23 art. The category is time-based interactive art. And we would like to call upon Miss Sajida Wandal on stage to present the award. And the winner is the Park Khawateen Indus Water Machines.
Jury citation. The Park Khawateen Painting Club Multimedia Research Project examines the large-scale interventions of mega hydropower dams on the upper Indus River on communities. These mega projects have impacted local communities as well as the environment. The Indus hosts multiple layers of history. Its deities, rituals, supernatural powers, and folklore transcend religion and time and are associated with subaltern cultures. Modern engineering for agricultural output maximization led to the fragmentation of the river and resulted in displacement of indigenous populations, unequal division of resources, and inundation of histories. The multi-layered project creates links between femininity, masculine power, water structures, folklore, colonial and neoliberal designs. As provocateurs, the Women's Collective opens up a conversation about whose right it is to be considered of greater importance, the urban centers, the subaltern indigenous, or the earth itself. The project was presented through an interactive installation of a cacophony of machine-like structures that narrated interviews of affectees with histories of dam areas, fables and water-related songs, accounts of long-term effects of dams, and photo ops of dam inaugurations. The women venture to the frontier of the Indus River for plein air painting at the mega hydropower dams in the north. Female painters are often stereotyped as a benign and bourgeoisie group, but here in uniform inspired by Pierre Cardin's design for Pakistan International Airlines in the 1960s, they subvert roles and enter sensitive sites. Ostensibly demure and pure, the women painters, dressed as air hostesses, were able to enter sites built by powerful men to generate energy on a massive scale and to critically examine the logic of statist economic development.
All right, I should point out this is for the discipline of arts, third cycle of awards 2022-2023. Our next category is time-based / interactive. Honorable mention, Imran Channa, Promised Land.
The winner.
Jury citation. Promised Land by Imran Channa is an ambitious project presented as an immersive video game which tracks European perceptions of the world, the history of colonialism, and the ecologically destructive aftermath of modernity. The artist has structured the narrative of the game across 3 levels, titled the savage state, the pastoral state, and the desolation state. These landscapes have been meticulously built by utilizing historical imagery appropriated from colonial film footage from the collection of Eye Film Museum in Amsterdam. The artist has seamlessly collaged motifs and symbols to create a continuous landscape, at times completely in a state of nature, at other times filled with architectural structures and vessels, and on yet another level with the ruins of technological society. The game's interface creates a hypnotic and immersive experience, but in which any human presence is missing. The work recalls the history of the colonial envisioning of the rest of the world, conceived as both uninhabited and unspoiled and in a state of nature before the arrival of the Europeans during the last few centuries. It also connects present-day ecological catastrophe with this long history of conceiving land, landscape, and nature seen as being separate from human existence.
He's in Canada.
Oh, in Canada. Can we call him?
Can you take this award on
I?
his behalf? Yes, please. The next category is 2D art, and we would like to have Al-Noor Mitha on stage to present the award, please.
There is.
There you are.
Al-Noor Mitha, thank you very much. As he comes on stage, this one. Winner.
Tahira
Correct.
Noren, precision cutter.
Jury citation. You may call these finely cut works design, filled with incredible technique, textured, patterned, whirling, excavating, exacting, incisive, or architectural. Looking at these immensely crafted works on musty paper, many of these words overlap in how one can describe them. These are highly structured works made with precision cutters. The cutters score through the surface, unraveling one layer after another, forming contours, vortexes, often resembling finely chiseled step wells. The process is painstaking and, according to the artist, sometimes painful too. But often this deeply engaging attention to detail and process converts into becoming meditative, as is also often the case when the act of making takes one into altered states of mind. The process is so incredibly accurate, each line is incised into the vasli, some as small as 1-inch square sections, or others being as large as 8 feet. These scales of registers create an unimaginable play of depth and light with the surfaces. These works, mostly monochromatic, are both monumental and delicate in how finely detailed they are. The process and the final product have imprints of marking a journey and recording time.
Alright, next category, 2D art. Honorable mention, Amin Rahman, Bleeding Borders.
Jury citation. Bleeding Borders is a unique piece of work that challenges the senses in multiple ways. As Amin Rahman eloquently says, throughout my contemporary art practice, I have continually investigated and questioned themes such as violence, conflict, war, and peace to highlight the complexities of cultural globalization as an ideology of security. In using a range of artistic interventions from traditional and caustic painting to neon text, I attempt to highlight the issues of post-colonialism ideology alongside aggressive capitalism, which manifests itself as a floating signifier of world order and peace. Expanding on this body of work, I utilize the graphic and informal quantities of print media, aesthetic design elements taken from pop art, and speak to the current branding of global issues across the internet and traditional media platforms. The Bleeding Borders takes us on a journey that navigates contemporary political issues. It also touches on communities living across the borderlands of Pakistan with India, Iran, and Afghanistan. While living in political turmoil and experiencing extremism, ethnic violence, poverty,
and mixed culture, these communities cross between borders for survival. This project examines the region's historical roots, political interests, foreign intervention, and the living situations from the formation of these borders. Through a series of vinyl, neon, video, and acrylic mixed media installations, the project tells the stories of real lived experiences, investigates the complexities of cultural globalization, and highlights issues of past colonial ideologies and capitalism. Amin Rahman has investigated the history thoroughly with further evidence. Through a series of mixed media, video, and neon installations, Bleeding Borders shares the stories of real lived experiences from these borderlands, investigates the complexities of cultural globalization, and highlights issues of post-colonial ideologies and capitalism.
The next category is 3D and interdisciplinary art. We would like to have Mr. Rashid Rana on stage to present this award. A big round of applause for this global artist, Mr. Rashid Rana, who has presented Pakistan on so many international platforms and brought so much pride to all of us. We would like to call Ayman Gilani for the thread installation.
Jury citation. The thread installation is beautifully created, making a distinctive linear configuration, reminding us of how materiality can be imbued by the human hand. Gilani brings her interdisciplinary, artistic practice at the forefront of a new installation. She embodies the binaries of language as it exists in its various forms, such as written text, digital code, and patterns. Gilani has skillfully gathered 3-ply wool synthetic colored thread, raising the threads 18 feet by 18 feet, thus making a monumental feat that is not only visually stimulating, but also creating a magical assemblage transforming our senses. In addition, the 3-channel animated projection on threads brings the technique of knotting on 3-ply lasani sheets, an incredible piece of art. Her skill in interweaving the visual modes brings a magical presence that is both illuminating and visually stunning. In addition, she takes the weave to be her primary source of inspiration and utilizes its potential as a pattern, which when laid out stands apart from more frequently used forms of language that she takes to be a form of abstraction. Through her work, she attempts an amalgamation of the two. She digitally codes the traditional vocabulary of weaving patterns to look up new plays of infinite possibilities, of visual fields and interpretations. The work serves as the non-linear interpolation of languages made possible due to Ayman's conflictual experimentation. At the end of the day, the installation is so powerful that it remains locked in our memories, a true feat of the artist.
Category, once again, 3D and interdisciplinary art. Honorable mention, I hope I get the name right, Noor-e Sheikh Nabi and Arshad Farooqi, Naqsh-e-Shehr.
Jury citation. Those of us in the subcontinent who are privileged to be surrounded by the ocean have at equal times witnessed the sea becoming a distant relative, pushed back as land gets reclaimed under the guise of urban development. The image of what once was is now a mere archive, and in the case of this artwork is a reference to the underside of Lady Lloyd's Pier, now a part of Bin Qasim Park in Karachi. When a collective of 43 artists were brought together to reflect and comment on the shifting edge between land and water, it became an artistic, socio-eco-political comment on the fine balances that play out between ecology and development. The artist, and in this case a collection of artists, became communicators of our time. A digitally printed map of Karachi was divided between 43 artists. Each artist was invited to select a 2 square feet section of this map to envision and realize their piece of the puzzle. The artist was required to keep the street layout and water body intact, maintaining a uniformity of the border that lay between land and sea. The result was a collaboration of ideas of an artistic endeavor, a formation of voices and wonderful merging of colors, and an entirely new aesthetic that made for a construction of a new kind of cartography. The collage then inverted itself, becoming a roof, a shelter, whereby the viewer was invited to lie below, creating yet another perspective that became both non-passive and interactive.
Okay, Ji. The next category is industrial design, and we would like to call my favorite teacher, Abdul Jabbar Gul Sahab, for coming up on stage and not teaching us today, but giving the award. Abdul Jabbar has been a fantastic mentor and an amazing teacher back home at Indus Valley. जब भी कोई परेशानी होती थी, हम पता नहीं क्यों जब्बार साहब आपके पास भागते थे और आप रिजॉल्व कर देते थे सारे मसले. We would like to call the winner, Raza Zahid, for
Limited
Table.
Jury citation. It is rare to find such a vision in the proposal of furniture in industrial design. The entry is a perfect crossroad between cultural tradition and a very assumed contemporary identity. This project brings freshness, lightness, while being true to its materiality, which is metal, a beautiful fiat. Sense of rhythm, proportion, and construction, all these elements make it a definite added value in the design of contemporary furniture. The jury commends the winner as the developed entry is reflective of the identity of a designer, identity of a country, of a culture imbued with craftsmanship and technical mastery hidden in a kind of grace.
We move on to the next discipline, that of architecture, our category, civic project. Please put your hands together for our presenter, Simone Friso. Buongiorno. Please put your hands together.
Simone has come down to Pakistan, has spent this amazing time with us. Thank you so much for taking out time and being part of this amazing cause.
All right. Our winners, once again, category civic project, discipline architecture, the architects, Studio Tariq Hassan, Children's Village, Jamshoro.
Jury citation. Sustainability in architecture deals directly to fundamental contemporary issues for our societies, such as responsible design, relationship with the environmental, cultural, and social context with appropriate technologies. The project of the SOS Village in Jamshoro is based on a creative interaction among these aspects: design, cultural identity, technology, trying to find sophisticated but at the same time simple and cost-effective solutions in each of these fields. The project implements the use of vernacular due to extreme climate in the region with wind catchers, shading devices, and locally sourced material for thermal adequacies. The project expresses a remarkable ability to balance the needs of our contemporaneity, the relationship with the local building culture, and the intimate needs of the children who will be hosted in the village.
The next category is commercial building, and we would like to have the honorable mention here, identity, Coconut Grove. Wow, Coconut Grove brings back so many memories.
Jury citation. Well thought out projects are the result of trust by the client, freedom to the architect, respect and collaboration between architect, owner, and contractors. This project seems to have succeeded in all the required ingredients of success. Located in an urban residential area that has been commercialized, the architect has done a superb job of sitting the restaurant building far back to enjoy the scale of the structure and incorporated the existing trees. The experiential atmosphere on arrival to guests meandering through the jungle to a very transparent facade and thus integrating the outside and inside in an elegant statement. The architects have chosen to keep the food prep and support areas hidden but well planned to emphasize the dining experience. 3 types of dining, outdoor, indoor, and private dining, seamlessly flow into each other. The prime night dining experience is well supported by clever placement of lighting that enhances the experience rather than blind the guests through visible sources. The outdoor seating has creative elements such as swings and children interest items which add to the jungle ambience. The material selection of glass, metal, and brick and the form of the main building are very appropriate to the natural setting, which make you feel you are sitting under the starry sky at all times and give an earthy feeling to the guests. The depth of transparency has been emphasized by the one-level seating rather than split raised levels. The jury commends the successful collaboration of the client, the architect, and the builders, and provides the city a venue for an incredible dining experience and recommends it for honorable mention.
All right, we move on to our next category, Residence Project 500 Plus. Our presenters, Tabir Hassan and Saad Mehmood. All right, and the category once again, we have our presenters on stage and one of them on stage. All right, category Residence Project 500 Plus, and the winner is Arshad Shahid Abdullah and, I hope I get this right, Anjalam Deran Mir House.
Jury citation. The jury was impressed by Mir House because of its clever design around sensitively retained trees. This sympathetically detailed new build was seen as a welcome move towards a much-needed greener approach to living. The house is a wraparound on existing trees, which considers the external landscape as part of the internal layout. The plan is thus a series of interconnected indoor and outdoor spaces. It follows Jeffrey Bawa's philosophy that the outdoors should not be separated from the indoors. The collaboration is a deeper response to the sensitivity that a dwelling requires and creates a dimensional formation of residence undertaking in the urban landscape. Such connections enable the enjoyment of changing weather and provide us with cool and shade without the need to resort to energy-consuming air conditioning. The architecture itself is well detailed, utilizing salvaged fixtures and fittings. The windows are carefully positioned to benefit visually and physically from the retained trees. Semi-paved courtyards provide protected shaded areas introducing planting, water pools, stepping stones to be enjoyed as an outdoor room. The house is a demonstration of how good detailing and well laid out spaces which make use of existing landscapes and responds sustainably to climate in an approach to good design should be applauded.
The category is the same, Residence Project 500 Plus. The honorable mention is the Architect Studio, Tariq Hassan.
Run the house.
We run the house.
Jury citation. This is a house which the jury admired and noted for its simple and well-thought concept derived from the historic stone buildings of Karachi. 2 pavilions on the north and south side with functional spaces are linked with a bridge housing areas for relaxation and entertainment with verandas, pools, and gardens visually connecting the entire length and breadth of the plot through windows and screens on all four sides. A clever design making full use of the Karachi breeze and providing space to sit outdoors, the building has, as it set out to do so, taken from the tradition of the colonial house and modernized it to suit contemporary living. The use of trees and timber grills to provide both shade, enabling use of semi-covered spaces, is perhaps a quality which must be applauded. These verandas are a much-loved feature of old Karachi houses. The veranda house utilizes the long narrow plot very well. The simple architecture and reduction of the colonial arcaded grid is clever. The use of natural material, stone and timber is appreciated, and the sense of an open space, merging external and internal area and allowing light and air through the rooms is to be encouraged in all new architecture. Our dependence on artificial cooling is perhaps a luxury we should be weaning ourselves away from, and it is good design which will help us reach this goal.
The category is residence, special abodes, and honorable mention here is Studio Serra, Beach Hut Villa.
Jury citation. Well laid out with courtyards to increase outdoor space and light in this long narrow plot with a single view, the jury felt that this beach hut expressed the functional aspects of a weekend retreat by the beach very well. It also kept the aesthetic simple, using polished cement and brick flooring and plastered walls. The use of cement block grills, timber louvered doors, and a timber reed canopy are a good response to the breezy climate of the seaside. Maintenance is important for all buildings buffeted by the salty damp air by the seafront, and the materials used in this building are either robust or easily refreshed. The simple design is well detailed with attention to proportions. The long open terrace covered with timber and reed is symbolic of many shacks which once populated the beaches of Karachi, the solid outer walls of the hut reminiscent of mud brick houses of Sindh.
The next category is residence less than 500, and the honorable mention here is Zohaib Zubi, the Wallah House.
Jury citation. The Wallah House is being included in the ADA award list because it is one of the smallest and most traditional layouts submitted for the award, which utilizes a small plot in the most effective way. The plan of the house is logically organized around an open, partly shaded courtyard, which functions as a large multi-purpose space for gathering, resting, eating, and sleeping. It also provides an open area to enjoy the sun in the winter and to stay cool in the summer. As it stands, the shaded part of the courtyard has a swing bed for people to sit and sleep. It has a tree which would provide shade when it is fully grown. The service areas are logically assembled next to each other, kitchen and bathrooms. A staircase currently open to the air leads to a flat roof which can be used for sleeping, but also has the potential for expansion if more rooms are required. The award recognizes the clever use of a traditional plant form at the Wallah House. The architectural statement made is that a few rooms around an open courtyard provided for a pleasant, climatically relevant and flexible accommodation.
All right, moving on to our next category, competition project. Presenter, please, if you make your way to the stage. Kamil Khan Mumtaz Saab, please, guzarish hai, stage par tashrif laye, sir.
A big round of applause for Mr. Kamil again.
Our winner, Sadiq and Polak Architects, A Place for All.
Jury citation. The project deals with the issue of constructing a prototype for a school building in a rural area of Ethiopia with considerable sensitivity. The general lack of sophistication which lies at the heart of the project is reflected in the extremely simple but effective
ADA will take the award on behalf of this team.
is reflected in a project.
A big round of applause for Sadiq and Polak architects, a place for all.
Modularity, flexibility, adaptability, recycling are well resolved and are reflected in a project at the service of the community.
The next category is Interiors Project, and we would like to call Mr. Irfan Syed, Director Marketing, Berger, on stage to present the award, please. A big round of applause for Mr. Irfan Syed. Thank you.
Welcome.
And the winner is Copper and Steel, the Eye Clinic.
Jury citation. The designer has approached this winning project in a poetic, sensual, and stimulating manner. Without playing with words, this project has a real vision. The project reveals a contemporary take on an eye clinic where art, science, industrial design, and craftsmanship intertwine in an interesting and peaceful way. The interior design project proposal brings a personal, sensitive, and creative approach while respecting the functions and constraints that such a place brings. There is a fine balance between the use of materials, furniture, lighting, and objects. The artworks are expressive and fascinating. There is air and space around them. Building an atmosphere without attacking customers, putting them comfortably in this context, is as precious and delicate as our eyes. The choice of painting, the space adds calmness and subtleness to the eye-catching pieces. Part of the storytelling is the art installation that participates in this sensitive, subtle balance. The designer balances the weight of substance and volume, and this is highly appreciated in a medical clinic. The Indian philosopher, yogi, poet, and spiritual reformer Sri Aurobindo once said that architecture, sculpture, and painting are the three great arts which appeal to the spirit through the eye. These words capture quite well the extra dimension that this project has.
All right, we are up to category Interiors Project, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable mention, Studio Subtractive Unilever Officers.
Jury citation. A marketplace is an important part of the city life that is introduced in the agile work atmosphere. The marketplace is where people meet and share their values, their tradition, in an energy of exchange and encounter. It represents commercial interactions and social meetings between people as opposed to museums and parks that represent more cultural and recreational parts of city life. This project captures perfectly the urban and energetic atmosphere of a marketplace, which is the underlying spirit of the project. The freshness, creativity, and materials make it a ballet where people will dance in a daily moment. This place exudes real energy and is part of a contemporary quality of assumed interior design. A bit of chaos is part of a marketplace, and surely high energy is intended in this workplace where you sense room for playfulness and contemplation. This workspace holds the space for a lot of different people. It is interesting to see these two atmospheres and two very different and complementary approaches within the same place as a workspace. In the jury opinion, the project has turned out to be an empowering and enriching workspace, one bursting with energy and the other bringing calm and a sensitive balance like a mood board and a tableau vivant.
Thank you so much.
The category is Cultural Project, and we would like to call Miss Yasmeen Chima to give the award. A big round of applause for Madam Yasmeen Chima Saiba. We would like to call for honorable mention. The winner is Noor Khan Design Studios, House of God.
Jury citation. The mosque is given an honorable mention in recognition of its attempt at reinterpreting the traditional mosque. The move away from arches and domes and a reconsideration of the mihrab niche, the outdoor terrace, were all appreciated as new ways of conceiving of a space for prayers. The jury wished to encourage architects to go further in the abstraction of traditional forms and more robust theoretical principles to underpin the architecture. The jury felt that the mosque design was a move in this direction and must be mentioned for its approach.
Category Landscape Project. Honorable mention Open Door Design Studio, Tabir Hemani Children's Park.
Jury citation. In an urban area characterized by a high density of buildings, the project for a playground becomes an opportunity to reflect on the theme of public space as a common good and place of protection. The project represents an intimate microcosm made up of plant species chosen with care and attention, spaces for play, small constructions made with natural materials, places of shade and relaxation. Simple design gestures are aimed at creating a place that is attentive to the needs of autonomy and discovery of the world that children express through the dimension of play.
Socially Responsive Award. We would like to have Miss Arfa Sayyida Zehra on stage, please, to give this award. And we would like to call the winners Sakina Hassan Jafri, the Playground Central Jail of Pakistan. ADA Special Award for Pakistan is right here.
Jury citation. The charitable nature of the small park for children in jail was one of the initiatives that most appealed to the jury for several reasons. The basic approach to the scheme of making small changes to the existing landscape was well considered. Improving and extending the paved floor area under the existing canopy, making
Could somebody from the team ADA come and receive the award?
To deliver a larger sheltered and safe space to play. The scheme design was undertaken in consultation with children's psychologists and a study of the behavior of children within the jail. A secluded, confined with minimum interaction to the outside forces reflected in the design approach, which was commended. Education seems to have been at the heart of the design concept. The creation of animal enclosures and a vegetable patch are recognized as tools for group participation and education, and these form part of the new landscape. In this scheme, the educational play area was further enhanced with well-designed and well-finished play resources. Toys such as giant abacus, musical pipes, and alphabet blocks are additions that, if maintained, allow the classroom to extend beyond the confines of the enclosed existing space. The jury appreciated this pro bono project also because it was delivered within the small project budget. The additional cost overrun required to deliver the quality desired by the team was managed through a successful search for additional charitable funds and free building material.
All right, this is the Pavilion Award. Arpa is with us on stage. Please put your hands together for the winners, Nujha Bilkrami and Rashid Rana. Amazing. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
A big round of applause for these amazing artists, all of them on stage at the same time. A big round of applause for this amazing initiative and an amazing team.
All right, we move on to our final award for this evening. Now, I'd like to invite the presenters on stage first before we give away this special award, which is the Lifetime Achievement Award. I'd like to invite on stage Aslam Mehdi, Maria Aslam.
Aslam Mehdi Saab from Packages.
Hi, Maria.
Mario ji, thank you so much for coming again on our stage to give this award.
We have a very special video to show you. Could we have the presentation, please?
Arif Hassan. Few personalities have influenced the social and built environment in Pakistan like Mr. Arif Hassan. His thoughts, ideas, writing and discourses have led to the creation of many alternative approaches to examine the built environment from the lens of uneclipsed realities. He introduced a people-focused branch of scholarship that inspired the scholars to learn the various forms and formats of social enterprises in which human relationships shape distinct outcomes in the built environment. He derived extraordinary solutions for urban and rural communities in Karachi, Tharparkar, Gilgit-Baltistan and many other locations in Pakistan and abroad. Schools of architecture in Karachi have benefited from Arif Saab's inputs for a long time. Since 1970s, Arif Saab regularly taught and conducted studies at the Daud College, now Daud University. He pioneered the comprehensive environmental design studio that enabled students to study the actors and factors shaping our built environment. He was catalytical in paving the way for establishing Department of Architecture and Planning at NND University in the late 1990s. Arif Saab gave useful input to Indus Valley School of Arts and Architecture, Department of Visual Studies at University of Karachi and many other schools of architecture in Pakistan. Through periodic assessment of student works, liaison with faculty and management of universities, Arif Saab promoted various qualitative improvements in the teaching and studio work. He supported many young and enthusiastic faculty members as well as aspiring professionals in obtaining admissions and scholarships, leading to postgraduate studies abroad. Most of them are the leading lights of several institutions in imparting meaningful education to our upcoming generations. Arif Saab contributed in the creation of several institutions and also extended leadership and assistance at various levels. Some of them include Urban Resource Center, Young Professional Training Unit of Daud College, Technical Training Resource Center and many others. He also served as the Chancellor, Textile Institute of Pakistan and instituted most useful changes in the teaching and academic processes. He has served as the Member Steering Committee, Aga Khan Award for Architecture. He has been associated with Asian Coalition for Housing Rights and International Institute for Environment and Development in multiple capacities. Much of Arif Saab's publications constitute pioneering contributions in respective categories. The subject and focus comprise Karachi and its various labyrinths, environmental and developmental issues in various regions, transportation and infrastructure, social and cultural processes, institutional development, lessons learned from projects and policy implementation, constituents and transformation of our social milieu, and more. All of this work is based upon high-quality research that has been acclaimed globally at various academic and professional circles. Despite these most engaging and demanding commitments, Arif Saab is always available for helping students of architecture, urban and regional planning, social sciences and other disciplines from the country and abroad. One can just contact his office, seek an appointment and meet him to discuss an undergraduate project, thesis or term paper. He has always been accessible as a mentor and guide to young scholars hailing from a wide range of fields. Whether a native young lad from local architecture school or a straggling doctoral scholar from North American University, they are all welcomed by him and guided by his words of wisdom for the next step. Countless journalists and independent researchers seek his guidance while reporting on civic issues, complex urban planning and development-related matters, or an ongoing campaign by a government agency. Ordinary folks from underprivileged communities routinely benefit from his guidance through the various development project, community meetings, or even protest campaigns. He never hesitates from standing and participating in protests held to demand justice for the affected and deprived, downtrodden from underprivileged communities. In short, Arif Hassan is a true embodiment of a professional whose wisdom, resources, and blessings are for the people, especially those who constitute the apparently lower strata of the society, and is a lone powerhouse resource in research and documentation.
Big round of applause. This is Lifetime Achievement Award, which is an absolute honor to receive.
Thank you very much, Mr. G, for coming up to receive. Now we have one more Lifetime Achievement Award and one more special presentation. Could we have the presentation, please?
Zohra Hussain. A distinguished personality in the visual arts, Zohra Hussain founded the prestigious Chowkhandi Gallery in Karachi in 1985, which later came to be known as Chowkhandi Art, as her sister Meher is quoted. It started with the simple intention to work with the utmost honesty and to uphold the highest ethical, moral, and professional standards of excellence that were ingrained from their father's training since childhood. The awareness and love for art developed much after Chowkhandi started by chance after Mrs. Hussain's husband fell ill. She and her sister had visited galleries in London and liked the idea of small exhibition spaces that showcased the best of artists in commercial settings. Advised by her close friends, the premier sculptor Shahid Sajjad, the artists Jamil Naqsh, Naz Ikramullah, Siddiqa Bilgrami, and cousin Meher Afroz, the literary critic Muniza Shamsi, and her sister Zainab Meher Hassan, she took the plunge and never looked back. In fact, Chowkhandi was named after Afroz's studio. Within 2 years of its opening, Chowkhandi became Pakistan's premier art space, and the most important artists began to showcase their work, beginning with solo exhibitions by the iconic Zahurul Akhlaq and Zarina Hashmi. For Mrs. Hussain, they were friends first and clients later. Zarina developed such a strong admiration for her that she showed exclusively at Chowkhandi in her lifetime. Zarina would jokingly say that Zohra was too honest and refined a person to run a gallery. Chowkhandi was the place for writers and artists to drop in for coffee and hold invigorating conversations, and their cultivated taste and keen interest in literature, poetry, history, and religion. This included the late Habib Fida Ali and Iqbal Siddiqui, Dr. Naqvi, Sumayya Durrani, Shahid Sajjad, Saqib Hanif, among others. It was here that one would meet such seasoned artists such as Bashir Mirza, Anwar Saeed, Afshar Malik, Musarrat Mirza, and of course, Anwar Shafi. It was because of Indus Gallery and later Chowkhandi that Karachi became the art hub of Pakistan. In December 1997, then recently graduated miniaturists from the National College of Arts marked a first major group show at the invitation of Zohra Hussain, marking the beginning of the neo-miniature journey. These included Muhammad Imran Qureshi, Talha Rathor, Nusrat Latif Qureshi, Sumaira Tazeen, Aisha Khalid, Fasiullah Ehsan, Amina Ali. Mrs. Hussain recalls that she managed to hold sellout shows while at the same time educating a new group of collectors and developing art connoisseurs. Her disposition was such that she never considered herself a rival of Ali Imam and his well-established Indus Gallery. In fact, she would take permission from Imam Sahab to show any of the artists that he had promoted. Those days of Murawat and Ikhlaq perhaps is long gone in an art market where competition is cutthroat, but Zohra Hussain has continued with the tradition of complacency, benevolence, and above all, class. A profile on her by the well-known artist and critic Gregory Minnesal in the Evening Star of February 1988 was aptly titled "An Iron Fist in a Velvet Glove." He quoted Zohra Hussain, "When I first opened the gallery, people said, give it 2 months and it will fizzle out. Then when the gallery was a success, I was showered with praise as a great patron serving the arts. Well, to be honest, I didn't like this image of me as a one-woman charity out to save the arts from the land of Philistines. It sounded rather too filmy. So I just told them that this is a commercial venture and I'm out to make money and I have no hypocritical pretensions about it. Minisal wrote, "It took more than a business sense to create a gallery with a reputation. It takes diplomacy, finesse, elegance, a few knowledgeable friends, the gentle art of persuasion, good taste, and most importantly, a finger on the pulse of a public taste that changes like the wind." Zora Hussain has a good measure of all of these qualities, and with Chokandi Gallery, she has created a kind of salon, an arbiter elegantiarum for our bourgeoisie. And our dear friend, the late Saqib Hanif, wrote in the annual issue of Herald 2002, "Not only is Chokandi Art one of the most prestigious galleries in the country, its owner is clearly a force to reckon with. And when Hussain talks art, people tend to listen."
भरपूर तालियों के साथ Many congratulations, Madam Zora Hussain.
Thank you very much, Majestic. Thank you very much, Maya Asad Saiba, for joining us. And thank you very much, Zora Hussain Sahib. As she goes to her seat, please, round of applause once again. Our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the official distribution ceremony. We do have a very special act for you. Because of what I do, Sarvat, as a radio presenter, I'm privileged to see and hear and witness bands and musicians grow with time. I remember when this band first started many, many years ago, I was one of the first to interview them. And they join us here tonight, developed, evolved, and their sound is so appropriate to this backdrop this evening.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I'd like to call on stage, with your applause please, the band Soch.
आपकी भरपूर तालियों में बैंड सोच।
तेरी बाहों में जो सकून था मिला, मैंने ढूंढा बहुत फिर ना मिला। दुनिया छूना चाहे मुझको यूं, जैसे उनकी सारी की सारी मैं, दुनिया देखे रूप मेरा, जाने बेचारी आए टूटी सारी की सारी मैं, तेरे इश्क में होई आवारी, सारी मैं, तेरे इश्क में होई आवारी मैं। चांद लाए कोई दान लगाए मैं भी ऊपर से हंसती पर अंदर से हारे क्यों दर्द छुपाए बैठी है मुझसे कहती है मैं तो ही बिखरा हुआ
I hope it's not noisy.
हेलो हाय अंदर अंदर से टूटा तेरे इश्क में खुद ही से रूठा हाय अंदर अंदर से टूटा तेरे इश्क में खुद ही से रूठा मैं जी भर के रो लूं तेरी बाहों में सो लूं आ फिर से मुझे मिल मैं तुझसे ये बोलूं तू अनमोल थी पल पल मोल थी ऐसी चुप तू लगा के गया सारी खुशियाँ आके गया हाय अंदर अंदर से टूटा मैं तेरे इश्क में खुद ही से रूठा
Thank you so much.
दिल लाना नहीं तेरे बिना अज कर ले फैसला मेरी अखियां दी प्यास बुझा पई तकदियां तेरी राह मेहरमा यार भी आवाज पॉजिटिव में दिल लाना नहीं तेरे बिना अज कर ले फैसला मेरी अखियां दी प्यास बुझा पई तकदियां तेरी राह तेरा मुखड़ा तकदी जा थोड़े तेन मना तेरा मुखड़ा तकदी जा थोड़े बैठ तेन मना ओ नेड़े नेड़े बस मैं तेनू प्यार करदी जा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तेनू प्यार करदी जा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तेनू प्यार करदी जा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तेनू प्यार करदी जा छड़ छेड़ा तेरी अंदर गल सुन मेरी गल दूर दूर मेरे कोलों नहीं गया मेरे लिए भी थोड़ा जेहा तेरो अज सोने अज बिच बिच मेरे कोलों नहीं गया छड़ छेड़ा तेरी अंदर गल सुन मेरी गल दूर दूर मेरे कोलों नहीं गया मेरे लिए भी थोड़ा जेहा तेरो अज सोने अज बिच बिच मेरे कोलों नहीं गया सोनी ते सुनखियां में नार तेरी वे अखां नाल पाया तू जाल मेरे ते सोनी ते सुनखियां में नार तेरी वे अखां नाल पाया तू जाल मेरे ते ओ मैं तमार मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल गाना जचदा ओ मैं तमार मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल गाना जचदा जावां तेरे वास्ते सजना तू रज रज वेखे न रोके मैनू तंगना मैं सजदी जावां तेरे वास्ते सजना तू रज रज वेखे न रोके मैनू तंगना तू मेरा पर्दा बन जावे मैं बैठा बस तेरी छावे तू मेरा शीशा बन जावे कि बस तू ही मैनू चावे तू मेरा पर्दा बन जावे मैं बैठा बस तेरी छावे तू मेरा शीशा बन जावे कि बस तू ही मैनू चावे हाय मुखड़म तकदी हाय मुखड़म तकदी जा थोड़े मेरे तेन मना तेरा मुखड़ ओ नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तैनू प्यार कर दी जावा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तैनू प्यार कर दी जावा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तैनू प्यार कर दी जावा नेड़े नेड़े बस वे ढोला मैं तैनू प्यार कर दी जावा मैं तो मर मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल खड़ा जचना है मैं तो मर मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल खड़ा जचना है मैं तो मर मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल खड़ा जचना है मैं तो मर मिट्टी तेरे उत्ते सोनिया एक तू ही मेरे नाल खड़ा जचदा है
Thanks.
रंग जा अपने ही रंग तू हो जा अपने ही संग तू रंग जा अपने ही रंग तू हो जा अपने ही संग तू बना ले छोटी सी दुनिया हो जा मस्त बोलू खाली खाली आंखों से सपने बुता जा मन अपने ही कर ले तू सबकी सुनता जा खाली खाली आंखों से सपने बुता जा मन अपने ही कर ले तू सबकी सुनता जा टूटी टूटी सांसों से लड़ता जा बढ़ता जा टुकड़ा टुकड़ा कर करके किस्मत चुनता जा बोले तन मन जम जम ठंडी लगती है सोच किसे और क्यों दिल में तेरे दर्द है रोग है क्यों क्या है तू क्यों है तू सोच जरा लड़का अपनी ये जंग तू कर दे सबको ही दंग तू बना ले छोटी सी दुनिया हो जा मस्त
With me.
बोलू
Thank you so much, everyone, for having us. Have a great night.
Anand, सोच बैठ के लिए भरपूर तालियां ख़वातीन और हज़रात. Amazing job as always. And thank you for being so patient and thank you for joining us. The ADA magazine, ADA Awards, the 2022 and 2023 cycle. We'll be back again. Wait, what's it going to be, Maya? Is it Dubai or is it, I don't know, where are we at next year? Are we moving straight on to, no, she's saying no. Let's have some closing remarks. Can we? Let's have some closing remarks before we break for dinner. I'd like for you to please put your hands together for lead strategy in planning ADA, Ms. Sadaf Hatif. If you could please join us on stage. Thank you so much once again for the lovely audience.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a great time. This event would not have been possible without you and without the support of a lot of partners and sponsors who made this a reality. So I will start off with our event partners. WCLA, Mr. Kamran Lashari has been super gracious by giving this event space to us. And his team, Aisha and Noman. Then I will start with our lead partners, Berger, Packages Group. Aslam Saab, thank you so much for being such a big support to us. Our beverage partner, Pepsi, our beverage partners, Tapalti, our media partner, Hum TV and FM 91, our luminary partners, Signify, and our other support partners, Izhar Corporation, Pakistan, Hilton Pharma, and all the companies that have supported and made this a reality. This would not have been possible without the audience. Thank you so much for being so patient and being with us, supporting us. Congratulations to all the winners. And thank you to the team of HRSG who supported me all the way through. Shahid Hussain, Sabi Ali, Naeem, team of ADA, Sana for lending a voice for all the jury citation, Basil, Kashif, and everybody who has been part of ADA. So thank you so much for being with us, and inshallah see you next time in 2025. Yeah. Over to Khalid.
Thank you, Sulu. Thank you very much. Enjoy dinner. My name is Khalid Malik. Rab Rakha.